there's always been a separation between film, television, and then all the other media that you just mentioned. And as was talked about at HPA several months ago, was that there has to be the burning of that. There has to be the stop with that wall, stop with having.
It's got to spread across.
Exactly. The technology that we're using as professionals can also be used for folks who are content creators or not creating content for film or television, and vice versa. We need to pick up some of the lessons that content creators are that can teach us, but they also have to pick up some of the lessons that we've taken the slings and arrows for years into their workflows. So there has to be more of a homogenization of those talents.
Michael Kammes does not need an introduction, which is why I'm introducing him. He is the Senior Director for Innovation for Code Media, a pundit, an industry leader, a futurist, and an all-around good guy who I've enjoyed working with for the last 10 years. Michael, thanks for joining me.
It's good to see you in person, Larry.
It has been a long time. Tell me what you think the Senior Director of Innovation does.
Just about anything I want, which
Really?
is a fantastic place to be in. But if I had to narrow it down, it's three main things. It's technical education of clients and then inside people inside Code Media. It's also developing course curriculum, all right, for continuing education for technology, and also pre-sales, guiding clients to write products. But it's not just products that we're accustomed to. It's things that are tomorrow and next year. It's AI. It's cloud. It's the things that we're just scratching the surface on right now, but are going to pay dividends down the road.
Well, I want to take a step back from Code and go up a level and sort of take a look at the marketplace. First thing I want to ask is, what trends do you see that are catching your eye that the rest of us need to pay attention to?
Generative AI has been the new hot sexiness, and it tends to cast a shadow over the more boring analytical AI. But analytical AI is what is enabling us to find faces. It's what's enabling us to get transcription. It allows creatives and just about anyone else to make actionable decisions on their media without having to generate new media. And I think analytical AI gets overlooked quite a bit when compared to Gen AI.
Generative AI is creating stuff out of whole cloth, creating new images, whereas the rest of AI is really enhancing or simplifying tasks. One is replacing us, and the other is enabling us. Is that a safe statement?
I like to think of it as Gen AI is new, and analytical AI is recap. It's what is seen and what is heard. That's what analytical AI is. And as creatives, we can make actionable decisions on whatever story we're telling if we're armed with more data on what's actually being heard and what's actually being seen in that frame.
Well, one of the terms that I've heard earlier today is something called an AI agent. Mm-hmm. What is that?
Well, right now, if you want to use something like ChatGPT, right? You're going on a website, ChatGPT, and you have all the models and all the different abilities wrapped up into one package. But that requires extensive hardware to run. If we move to an agentic AI workflow, it means you have task-based models, which can be much smaller, and then you have a larger AI agent that is then orchestrating or pulling the strings as to what agent does what for your task. And that means you can run it locally without having to invest in a lot of hardware or cloud costs.
When you say run locally, aren't we still running an LLM, which is a large
language model?
Aren't we still running that large language model on our local system, which in most cases can't be done?
There are several ones. DeepSeek, we've heard that come out earlier this year, and if we take away some of the security concerns, that can run local. There's a smaller variance that can run local on your laptop, and then you can use that to ask questions to help you with creative writing. Or when we have agents, it's to do individual things, like maybe translation just into this language, or just translation into this language. Do you need an AI that can translate into 100 languages? Most people don't need that. So you can go with a smaller model if you're just translating into one language. So that's just one example of how agentic AI with smaller models can work for you.
Okay, so we've got one trend, which is agentic AI, which is not as easy to say as you would think. Mm-hmm. What other trends are you watching?
There's the concept of top-down AI and bottom-up AI. And bottom-up AI is where it's inside your creative tool, like Adobe just announced Media Intelligence. That's great for that creative, but what about everyone else that creative collaborates with? They have to run Media Intelligence on their own system, right? So we then look at the top-down, which is getting AI for the entire facility to use, because the AI is looking at your entire storage volume. So I think a lot of people overlook the overarching top-down AI because they're so concerned with the AI inside their creative tool.
Continuing in our look at trends, one of the things that you and I discussed when we did our video just before NAB a couple of weeks ago is that I tend to use the word media to imply traditional broadcast, television and cable. But media is actually a much bigger market than just simply traditional broadcast. There's all the social media and corporate communication, and as one guest said earlier today, all of corporate America is a video production studio. Where do you see growth happening in our industry? And I use industry meaning media production and post.
Good question. Where do I see growth? There's always been a separation between film, television, and then all the other media that you just mentioned. And as was talked about at HPA several months ago, was that there has to be the burning of that. The technology that we're using as professionals can also be used for folks who are content creators or not creating content for film or television, and vice versa. We need to pick up some of the lessons that content creators are that can teach us, but they also have to pick up some of the lessons that we've taken the slings and arrows for years into their workflows. So there has to be more of a homogenization of those talents.
One of the big buzzwords at NAB last year was the creator economy. It seems to me that we're all part of the creator economy. We're just creating different things. And suddenly we've got access to almost unlimited distribution and unlimited tools at a variety of price points. So is this speaking to your homogenization of the industry, that we can't be silos anymore?
I would agree with that. I've never liked the term creator economy because it almost is separating. It's like saying millennial versus Gen X or Gen Z. You're putting a label on something which just differentiates it from somebody else. I don't know how many people I've met in my career that say, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker." Okay, but you're doing TV. Yeah, but I'm a filmmaker. Okay, I understand that. I completely get that. So saying creator economy almost is like saying, "Oh, you're new media." Right? You're not old media. And
like digital publishing back before you were born.
I heard about that.
Yes.
Was everything in black and white?
Everything was in black and white. It was, I'll tell you a short story. I was working for a company that was doing digital publishing, and one of the big triumphs, absolute triumphs, was they finally figured out how to display color in print from a digital signal. And they were doing happy dances that we could not print color. So, yes, I'm that old.
That would have been a great trade show.
It was.
When that was unveiled, I would have loved to have seen that.
It was called Seybold, S-E-Y-B-O-L-D, named after Jonathan Seybold, who ran a whole series of trade shows focused on digital publishing and digital media, and he earned his living dancing on the head of that pin and did a wonderful job.
Content creators don't have that knowledge, Larry.
See, that's why I hang around, to be able to educate people like you.
Thank you.
One of the terms that I'm hearing a lot is called repatriation, which is data which is stored in the cloud coming back down to premise. Because the cloud, we've discovered we may have overreacted to the cloud and moved too much stuff up. The cloud is giving us issues of data privacy, security, who has access, who has ownership, and the constant renting of storage space, which doesn't occur if we're storing on-prem. Are you seeing any kind of a long-term trend of a balance, more of a hybrid storage approach, where some stuff is in the cloud and more stuff is on-prem?
Definitely seeing that. However, the one point I would debate is I'm actually not seeing a reduction in cloud storage. I'm seeing a reduction in cloud compute. Right? Because cloud storage is actually getting less and less expensive. We have companies like Storage, we have companies like Suite Studios and LucidLink, which allow you to use a less expensive storage but still have it perform for your needs. So I'm not seeing any reduction in cloud storage, but I am seeing we're not going to spin up a workstation that costs $3 an hour and run that full time for a month, because that's for for $400, $500, or give or take. I'm seeing a reduction in that, but in cloud storage, no. No, I'm not seeing much reduction in that. But to your point, there are lobbyists right now that are trying to push the agenda of we want content that's in the cloud to be used to train AI, right? And I think we will start seeing either a mass exodus, if that does happen, or you're going to start seeing private edge data centers that say, we won't allow your data to be trained, to be used to train AI. So we'll see these smaller companies pop up to do just that.
I think the AI training companies have done all of us a disservice by training on everything and then going back later and asking permission and acting surprised when content creators are saying, you shouldn't have trained on my material when I own it. Is that situation ever going to resolve?
I think it will, and here's why. I believe that what we haven't looked at yet is an emerging cottage industry for specialty trained models. Think about it. If you were putting together a section of video and you want an automobile, you normally don't type in car. You type in 57 Chevy, right? You want a particular type.
I would type in car.
Yeah, okay.
But you would type in a 57
because
Chevy.
Creatively, that's the image I want to have in whatever sequence I'm putting together. And most AI is trained on generic things, right? A car, a dog. So I think we're going to start to see a cottage industry of specially trained models that maybe you rent. Right? Maybe I'm doing a project on automobiles. I want to know every GM product ever released. Okay, there's going to be a specially trained model for that, and you can rent that for, I'm sure, a per month fee. I'm sure that'll be available at some point.
Well, what would be the difference between that and a stock footage company that has taken photographs of every car ever made?
There is no difference, just a different pricing model.
Got it. If you were giving advice to someone, a student, deciding to get into media today, what would you tell them?
That you have to incorporate AI tools. Period, end of story. It's just like 20 plus years ago when you could just be an editor, right? And then you had to learn motion graphics. You had to learn a little bit of audio. You had to diversify your skill set. And I think what we're seeing already is AI isn't replacing people. It's saying you can take on twice as much work in the same amount of time because you're going to get done quicker. So anyone that's coming up in the industry has to learn these tools and understand that these are assistive tools, not replacement tools. Unfortunately, there's not enough jobs to go around, and the jobs that are out there are being sucked up by Fiverr, or folks who have never been in the chair professionally, so they're commanding lower rates, which is dragging the whole freelance industry down in terms of pricing.
I think it's slightly different than that. If I was competing against lower skills, that'd be one thing. But if I'm competing against equal skills, but at a different pricing level, that's hard to beat.
I would agree with that. However, more so than going overseas, I'm more seeing, well, I'm going to hire this person who edits Instagram reels and TikToks to cut my video. And they're usually in the U.S. because same time zone, communication, that kind of thing. I'm not seeing as much go overseas, but it's younger folks who don't have as much experience and command lower rates domestically.
And it's not going to get better real soon, is it?
I don't know if it's ever going to get better, to be honest with you. There's no reason for prices to go back up, right? We had the VOD boom, right, over the past 15 years, which got everyone jobs, but there isn't a new platform, right? If suddenly spatial took off, great. That you need a special kind of person, special kind of hardware to be able to cut that. If there was a new viewing model somehow, right? I can't even conceive of one. Okay, that's a new platform. You have to create content for that. We don't have anything new. It's not 8K isn't going to do it. Spatial's not going to do it. So I don't know what is going to be the injection that our industry needs. This part of the industry needs.
Yeah. It is a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I learn every time I talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.